my name is Tara Ferraris. Today on Getting to the Bottom, we will be looking at evolution and the evidence of evolution. In the last 150 years, new discoveries have been made that filled many gaps that Charles Darwin had identified in relation to evolution. Evolution is supported by a large amount of scientific evidence. The four types of data that document the pattern of evolution and illuminate the processes by which it occurs are direct observations of evolution, homology, the fossil record, and biogeography. These main points will be discussed in more detail in an interview of Dr. Cotoia by Ms. Longo.
Hello, Dr. Cotoia. How are you today?
I'm good, Miss Longo. How about yourself?
Good. So I've heard you've been studying evolution recently?
Yeah, me and my team have been reading Descent with Modification by Charles Darwin, and we've been looking at certain types of evidence.
Any new discoveries made yet?
Well, Darwin was correct. Evolution has been occurring, and so far different evolutionary patterns have been observed.
Why don't you tell us about your studies?
Well, direct observations of evolution, also homology, the fossil record, and biogeography, all types of evidence that we've been looking at,
Whoa. Let's just take it step by step. Why don't you tell our listeners what all of this means?
Alright, it's a little confusing.
So what do you mean by direct observation of evolution?
Well, it's first easier to understand of natural selection and what has been occurring because of it. In natural selection, species of animals and organisms that have traits best adapted to a certain environment are observed in a higher chance of survival and reproduction rates.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
So, as the environment changes over time, species that have traits best suited to their environment will survive.
Yeah, it's a simple observation, and that pretty much explains Darwin's descent with modification.
Which should bring us back to the direct observations of evolution.
An example of this we've seen in soapberry bugs that live in different locations.
Soapberry bugs can be found in Florida, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Australia, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, there's different studies and observations conducted that we compared the beak sizes of soapberry bugs of central and southern Florida. These soapberry bugs from southern Florida feed on seeds from the native balloon vine. In central Florida, soapberry bugs feed on seeds from the golden rain tree. Seeds from the golden rain tree are closer to the surface compared to the balloon vine. So it's only suggested that the bird's beak size is proportional to the distance it is from the surface of the plant.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so the soapberry bug's beak size proves evolutionary pattern is true.
So in central Florida, the soapberry bug's beaks would be shorter than in southern. If I'm not mistaken, that's what you're saying the pattern's about?
Yeah, like the central Florida soapberry bugs are the seeds close to the surface, so the beak's smaller. But in southern Florida, since the seeds are farther away, the beak size is bigger.
So it's the need for the longer beak.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Were many evolutionary patterns observed throughout the years?
Well, yeah. Evolutionary patterns depend on the relocations of species, the environmental changes, and the relocations of other species, and etc.
Okay. And the soapberry bugs in central Florida adapted to the new golden rain tree because of natural selection?
Yeah, shorter beaks make picking closer to the surface seeds easier to get from the plant. That's
actually really simple. Okay, so what's the next type of evidential data?
Homology.
Homology? Homology is similarity among species originating from a common ancestor, correct?
Yeah, but keep in mind that as species are exposed to different environmental conditions, natural selection comes into play.
And evolution occurs as a species adapt.
You're getting the hang of it.
Yes! So, Mr. Cotoia, can you give us a brief overview of homology from your perspective?
Well, from analyzation of different species, characteristics of ancestor species are continually changed due to natural selection and different conditions. Because of this, species can have similar characteristics, however, function differently. It's quite puzzling in a sense, however, it's very simple.
So, related species should have similar features because of the evolution of a common ancestor. What are different features shared among organisms, and what do they signify?
Features that are shared among species obviously have a relation and a connection. So, however, how these relations occur through evolution is quite confusing. in mammals, forelimbs are quite similar to a sense, but they have the same structural arrangement, but have different uses. Like it would only make sense that these features are homologous structures, and the variations on a structure theme are present in an ancestor. So homologous analogies are significantly seen while the organism is still developing as an adult.
Okay, that makes sense. What are vestigial structures and how does evolution play a part in their significance and creation?
Well, vesicle structures aren't created. That's like a common mistake. Uh, some homologies are kind of left over in a sense and don't have any importance in an organism at all. Like these structures are characterized by remnants of like an ancestor probably that are just left over, but they don't have any function to do in the organism because of different environmental conditions, and the structures become unnecessary.
Interesting. So we see that homologous features are not restrained just to the body structure, but also at the molecular level.
Absolutely. Like, look at the genetic code, DNA and RNA. It's universal. And related species can have similarities in their genetic code. And genes can also be shared amongst different kinds of organisms. But genes can also have the same function, different functions, or no function at all in these types of organisms.
Okay.
But they're pretty much present due to ancestors and stuff.
Homology is a quite confusing topic. Do you think you can elaborate on it more and make it understanding for those at home?
Well, I think homology can be seen as a trait. Like homologous features are shared by many species due to a common ancestry, and they evolve. The more they evolve recently, like the closer they are to a smaller group of organisms, and are present in smaller groups, and the characters from a pattern are sharing in the deepest layer, and smaller groups add their own homologies to the shared larger groups. And an evolutionary tree reflects evolutionary relationships and are made from common ancestors reflecting homology.
How can different species resemble each other but have no relation whatsoever?
Well, evolution is quite funny in a sense. You're asking of convergent evolution, which is an independent evolution of similar features but with different ancestors and lineages. Species have similar features but have different ancestors. It's caused by the independent evolution to similar environments. And this resemblance is like analogous, and analogous features are similar in the sense of function, but not due to common ancestry. When homologous features are shared by ancestors, but they don't have to have the same function.
That's easy enough to understand. In the beginning, the fossil record was mentioned, correct?
Yeah, the fossil record is used to trace back the structures of different species of organisms.
How does that pertain to evolution then?
Well, let's take, for instance, the cetacean species.
The what?
The cetaceans, like the whales, the dolphins, and the porpoises.
Oh, okay, go on.
Alright, well, fossils show that cetaceans used to have hind limbs and how they originated from animals that lived on land.
Land mammals.
Yes, and over time the limbs change into flippers and tail flukes. So the fossil record shows how over time species change and can even form into new species.
Such as the formation of the cetacean order.
Yes.
So, Mr. Cotoia, what is biogeography?
Biogeography is a type of evidence of evolution and actually is the fourth evidence that we studied. Biogeography is the geographic distribution of species, and it's influenced by many factors like continental drift, which is like the moving of continents due to tectonic plates.
Like Pangea?
Yeah, like how the continents were once connected.
Separated.
Because of the movement of tectonic plates.
And that pertains to evolution how?
Because of this phenomenon, a prediction of the location of fossils can be made, and we can find where different fossils are in relation to others, and a common ancestor can be found. Also, many species are like found on islands and stuff, and people used to think that like these species are found nowhere else in the world and only on the island, which is called endemic.
And that's false.
Yeah, it is false because Charles Darwin explained in The Origin of Species that these species on an island actually pertain to the species on the mainland. So species on distant islands can be similar to each other because of same environmental conditions, but also similar to the mainland.
I remember reading about that. Anyway, I think that we all understand it, or at least I do.
Yeah, this explains why like complete different parts of the world, like ancestors, can be closely related.
Okay, are we done here?
I think we are.
It was a joy. Thank you for
Thank
all of this education.
Thank you, no problem.
Goodbye.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes.